What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. I hope you're well. I really do. Today is going to be a good day. I think. I mean, could go sideways. We could all just die. You know what I mean? Could be a meteor hurtling here at any given time. But I can't control that. So what can I control? I can control the stream. Sort of. Kind of. I mean, okay, you know, everything's out of control. I have no idea what's going to happen. Let's hope it'll be a good day. I think the wheels came off within the first 8 seconds here. It got a little too introspective. I should probably remove that premise, and we'll go to the other thing that we were going to talk about, the isekai thing. Hello, Samus. Hello, Ransom. Hello, Jones. And hello, Beardsley and Quiz. Good to see you. Yes, we, well, no, I mean, he was just isekai. Dude, Superman's reverse isekai. He's isekai'd from another place to us. If it's going from your home world and then having to end up somewhere else where you have superpowers, it is an isekai. Because he's isekai'd from Krypton. Of course, back then they weren't really thinking isekai. They were just like, how do I give someone powers? Aliens. That's the answer. Aliens. So that makes a ton of sense. I am very curious about this. Yes, sorry, I'll get out of the dang way. Here, how about that? Where should I stand? Up right here. We're gonna try. All right, so that's that. There's the clock. I'm gonna make sure I am situated in the exact right spot. So that's here. Cool. And then we're gonna move the keyboard over. Gotta get this right. I don't want to get out. I don't want to get in the way here. Head goes there, right? Mouse goes here. Elbow goes there. I think we're good. So yeah, Data God worked really. I don't know if you guys noticed. We probably did because you guys were talking about it for like 2 months. Like, what's wrong with the clock? So Data God took it into the shop, put it up on the hoist, changed the oil, new set of tires, and ended up giving it a bit of a rehaul or overhaul. Rehaul? I don't know. One of the two. And now it works better. It's got more features, and it's faster. And you put a racing stripe on the back to make it go faster. A few speed holes, and off we go. Yeah. So these are the actual commands. You notice how that came up really fast? It didn't do that before. It actually took about 4 minutes in the previous iteration, and it didn't work. But this is now, so this will work. So if you want to do some stuff on the clock, please do. It is all these commands apparently now work, and there'll be fun stuff. Like if you do who, it'll put your face up there and how long you've been on, and if you hug somebody, it'll give a hug to someone. Are there any special commands? Like, do I go ? Hug and then someone's name? Is that how that works? Because I know we have a slash hug command, but is it a ? Hug command now too? So so it should be good. We're gonna let it go. The coolest ones are the games. The games do really cool stuff. And what's neat about them is that they actually play themselves. They're not like a video, as in like they don't play the same game every time. It's actually the game is taught how to play itself. So each one's actually a little bit different because there's some RNG and different stuff in there, and then it just kind of tries to do its best. Yeah. Let's go. We're going back to Tron. We'll see. I'm gonna move my little arm. I have a new thing because I'm an old man, and it's a new arm elbow holder. I don't know what it is, but it looks like it's very robotic. It's got it's got an arm, and it's got like a little cup, and I put my elbow in the cup, and then I can use my arm. I got it one of these too, a vertical mouse, you know, so you hold it sideways. It's because I've had tennis elbow now for like 2.5 months, and it's not getting any better. And so everything I do, I'm like, okay, what do I do? How do I make this better? How do I have it not hurt? And the answer was rest rest and stop like using it, because apparently the micro movements, if you don't have your elbow situated right, because what I was doing, I basically hovered, right? Like I would hover the whole time, and I played like a kind of, I think Destiny did me in, right? Like I was doing stuff, and then Destiny just, I was playing it like crazy for 4 or 5 hours, and then all of a sudden my elbows fried because it just wasn't supported, and so now I have this support thing. It's all the tennis I play. That's exactly it. It's Pong. It's a Pong related injury, is what it is. So I'm going to we're just gonna jump into Minecraft. I do want to talk about that question before we do that. It's something that kind of came to my mind. We were talking about it during breakfast today. Well, brunch. I don't know. I don't know if you saw my tweet, but basically, like, I woke up today and it was 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna turn off my alarm for just a sec, close my eyes, and wake up in 15 minutes, and then I'll get up. And then it was 10 o'clock. Like, I back to sleep 2 hours. I looked at the clock and I'm like, wow, 10 o'clock. I must have been tired. I don't think that's it. I don't think I was tired. That's not the right feeling. It was more along the lines of the biochemistry in my brain was not sufficient for the waking, whether it be because of lack of coffee or lack of food, or I don't know. It's like it was hard to get out of bed. And so I out of bed. And then I went and I made myself some breakfast, and I was sitting there, we chatting, like literally just like man, let's just say. And then I look at the clock and it's like 11:10. I'm like, I gotta go. It was funny. Well, it's not funny. It's bad actually. So I've been in this spiritual reconstructive period of my life where it's like I need to do some personal development, spiritual development, like brain stuff that had nothing to do with work. And then get neurogum. Yeah, that's what I need. I'll mix some advanced into my G Fuel, into my Rogue, and then chew some neurogum. Boom. I'll be able to hover out of bed. So I've been doing a bunch of introspective stuff, and if you guys if you guys I'll share it with you another time. Right now I'm sharing it with my family, and I'm sharing it with a couple, just like two friends who I'm like, can you check my math on this to see if I'm correct in my conclusions here, and whether or not this really does represent me, because it's going to govern the next part of my life. And so the plan was here, get up early on Monday, head downstairs, do the introspective stuff, devos, longer period of time, and then get on stream and go jump into Minecraft, and basically, because I talked to you guys before, we're gonna try to keep it simple. And then jump into Minecraft, do the Minecraft stuff, and have chats like we normally do. Except for the problem is I completely just slept through the entire Devo part. Like it was. I'm like, that was not good. So I'm gonna try to get back on the wagon, like on the diet. Like I haven't been on the wagon diet wise for 2 weeks, right? I'm not blimping out or anything, but I definitely haven't been under control. And so it's like the last couple weeks have been very off. And so now I'm trying to get back on the wagon with all that stuff, but at the same time also trying to do that, to figure out who I am and what I am and what my future is and stuff. And especially in light of the big prayer, I told you guys about that before. The big prayer thing that they did for me last week, and that was really a big deal. I don't want to lose that momentum, right? I don't want to forget about that part. And so I'm like, okay, come back. But we're sitting at the table. Wow, sitting at the table, and we're talking about stories, right? Well, it started with this, when my daughter's like, yeah, like I just did a quiz about what kind of games I play, and then it came up with RPGs. No, it was what game should you play, and it came up with RPG, and she's like, that's not a game, that's a genre. And so we started talking about what kind of games you like and why do you like those kind of games, and what's the et cetera, and that kind of led to what kind of stories you like, because if you're doing an RPG, or if you're playing a game and it's very story based, you know what I mean? Like it's very narrative. He's like, I don't really like the narrative stuff, because then I feel like I'm going to choose the wrong answer, which I think is, oh yeah, good point. You wreck your own story. I don't want to do that. So she likes the action ones, or the ones with less consequence, or the ones where you are more, I don't know, collecting clothes or whatever. We don't, you can't make a wrong choice, just you. And so therefore off you go. And so I'm like, well, yeah, it kind of talks about stories. And so we brought it into the talk about stories. and what kind of stories you like. And it just occurred to me, I'm like, because I watch a lot of isekai, a lot of like garbage isekai, good isekai, power fantasy, anime. I watch a ton of it, and so therefore I'm like, what resonates with me in that, and I know what it is. It's like, I don't have, I feel lonely. That person has friends, people that are just longing to be with him. I feel powerless. That person has power. I feel unimportant. That person is being cracked down. I feel like I'm being, oppressed or forgotten. That person is now popular. Like, that's the whole point of those things. It's a fantasy of whatever's inside of whatever's missing in here: control, agency, the relationships, the feeling of being needed, all that stuff, or just anger, needing revenge, right? Like, that's what that's for. Like, there's isekais out there where the guy just doesn't give two hoots about nothing. He's got his little team, little squad, and anybody who comes around, he's like, I don't care. I'm not here to save you. I'm here to do what I want, right? So there's that, and then there's the other one where the person, he's the only one that could possibly save the entire world because he knows so much or understands the game or whatever, right? So yeah, it fulfills some, not just power, but like whatever. Well, power, I guess power, right? The power of what? Your intelligence, the power of your, physical power, the power of your charisma. It's all power. It's just, what kind of power is it? And so that being the case, right? If that's the case, then what is there an equivalent to North America? And I didn't want to say Western culture, because Western, that's big. You know what I mean? Like, that's like all of going all the way back to Shakespeare. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. But like North America, is there, especially because with anime basically being around for only like the last 60 years kind of thing, right? That's really where it came around, unless you want to go back to manga, in which case, you know what I mean. But like, what is it in Western culture that is similar? And we kind of talked about it for a while, and she's like, I think, she said cowboys, and I'm like, that's a good point, because the whole a cowboy movie is, like, I'm sitting here by myself on my ranch, I'm sitting with my wife, or I just came into town and I'm not doing anything wrong, leave me alone. And then something bad happens, and they're able to use the, that becomes the catalyst for building your team or getting revenge or taking on the bad guy. And a lot of it is take on the bad guy, take on the bad guy, taking the bad guy. But the bad guy usually isn't an institution, right? Like John Wick, yeah. So, but in Japan or even Korea, in manhwa, is that manhwa, that's Chinese, right? It's the institution that you're against, right? It's like you're against, the school is what keeping you down, the corporation is what keeping you down, the government's what keeping you down, your oppressive, parents are what keeping you down, and so therefore you leave that. Yes, that it is virus, and it's actually programmed to be random, in that it takes over each other and then mutates. Very cool. It's a very cool thing. It's an algorithm based on RNG and what can happen with different things taken into account. It's very neat. So yeah, Mark Twain's Canadian Yankee. I've never read that, but it sounds very sort of, I don't know, it depends on what he does when he gets there, right? Because if mining companies, rich ranchers, poor buying out homesteaders, I guess that's true. But okay, so I guess the difference is, in my mind, in Japanese culture, it is if I was released, if my power was understood, if people really understood who I was, or I was given the opportunity, or the man would, if I had the power, had the money, had the whatever, but I can't because government, or because school, always school, right? Or because corporation, doesn't give me the druthers. I know what I'm doing, but they won't let. I know what I'm doing, but they keep stabbing me in the back. I know what I'm doing, but they're working me to death. Now I'm going to go to a place where that work ethic, or that intelligence, or all that time I spent gaming actually has value. Whereas you talk about like mining companies, ranchers and whatnot, that is, I guess that is an organization, but it's an evil man, right? it's always, Mr. Potter, or it's the, well, not maybe not always, but it's like, it's not, they're not going against the mining company. They're going against that guy, that one evil guy, the guy who steals all your stuff, the guy who steals your girl, the guy who burns your crops, the guy who, you know what I mean? And it's always a guy as opposed to an institution. And usually within the anime that I can think of, the teachers themselves aren't usually the bad guy. They're part of the system, but they're just doing their job, right? They're just like, like, do your test or they're gonna fail life. That's their job. And yeah, they contribute to the stress, but they're not seen as the bad guy that you're trying to conquer. I mean, except for in that one where you're supposed to kill your teacher and he's the big yellow blob, but that's built into it. That's different. Guy basically transferred to King Arthur's court and pretends to be a wizard with modern knowledge of science and history. Oh, that's funny. See, if you sent me to there and wanted my knowledge of science and history, I would be completely useless to you. Be like, back where we have microwaves and we have refrigerators and we have the asphalt and we created guns and gunpowder and they'd be like, cool, that's awesome. How do you do that? I don't know how to do that. I have no idea. Not a clue in the world. I should not be sent back in time to help anybody. I would be more of a hindrance because I couldn't do the things that they can do normally, and all the things that I can do are useless to them. I would just slide back into preacher mode. Like, just put me in a pulpit somewhere and I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I contribute to society, but no skills, no abilities. Sorry, not gonna happen. They'd be teaching me. Merlin is onto him but can't prove it. Oh, really? Oh, that's funny. Do Indians count as an institution? They are seen more of as a group, right? That's kind of true, actually, because they're not. You don't have individuals, except for, like, I guess some of them, but they end up turning into Western heroes. You have individualistic meaning, and because you've now become one of us. Yeah. You need someone who tells you can't, so you can show up and say you can. Yeah, it's like everyday life they're fighting the man, and that's the thing. Like the man is against them. Whereas I think the man is institutionalized, but in Western culture, the man is an actual man, right? He's an actual guy. Like the government, maybe the FBI is seen as sort of its own kind of power, or the CIA, or the IRS. Those are kind of seen as having their own power. They're often engendered by a guy. Like, this is a guy. Like, this is so and so, and he represents that. But that is a government thing. But that usually has more to do with that's government overreach and things like that. Where it's like 1984, or like any of those kind of government things. That even them, they're not the individual power. That's the thing about them, is that the 1984, and what was the other one? I can never remember the dang name of it. The one with Soma and the caveman. Anyway, like those, it's not about individual power. It is about the powerlessness of the individual. That's kind of the opposite of an isekai. Brave New World, yeah. It's the opposite, because no matter how bright and intelligent they are, it doesn't work out. It just doesn't work out. Yeah, I mean, because we have superheroes. Like, I guess Goku would be equivalent, but like, we had Superman before they had Goku. Maybe. No, Goku was around hundreds and millions of years ago. Yeah. Because he's more of a deity. So that's more of like a Greek myth when it comes to demigods. So you get Hercules. Yeah, Hercules and Goku. Those are similar. So I guess now I'm off the trail, because you've got like, I don't know. That's what I'm coming down. Like, I don't know if we have this idea of the isekai, because I know for me, I can't think of a single story where somebody is oppressed or feeling crappy or feeling bad, and the way that they get out of it is through death reincarnation into a into a new world where they are immediately great at everything, or they have an inherent power, or they completely understand the universe because they've read that book and now they're in the book. I don't think Western has that. Usually it's they have a secret power within them. They didn't know that, but they were Superman. They didn't know that, but they were the Speed Force knew about them. They didn't know that, but they their military power that they've always had inside, that they have been trying to suppress. Rambo or John Wick, or these guys who are like, yeah, I've been trying not to do that, and now I use that power for good, and I can take on everybody. But that was always that was them, and they don't get removed from the world. They end up being like their inherent power of stuff. Heroes. Well, yeah, Heroes for a while back when it started, it was what if superheroes were part of everyday life and they had the drawbacks and things like that, what would happen? I watched a video about, because I remember I watched like the first season of Heroes. I think it was first few episodes back when it came out, and I'm like, this is really cool. And then I just got busy. I never went back, and for like years and years and years I just thought, man, I really wish I would have watched Heroes. I didn't get to watch it, whatever. And then it came out on Netflix, and I watched the first couple episodes again and never went back to it. I'm like, oh, I should get back to that. And then I learned that it was one of those shows that was great and then absolutely just imploded after a few seasons, made no sense, retconned itself into oblivion, destroyed all of its goodwill. Like, it was that, but then it died, right? It just didn't have that anymore. And so I'm like, I don't want to watch that. Same thing with, I was never going to watch Game of Thrones, but I think one of the reasons that, if nobody talks about Game of Thrones is because they killed it. There's no point in watching the first 6 if the last 7 ruins the whole thing for you. Yours is great, but declining quality. Yeah. That's the thing. The revival came out and it wasn't even that good. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we're a little off from the conversation for what it's worth, what is the conversation even about? But like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm feeling within the realm of my introspection of what is, back up a little bit because I feel like I'm in the wrong spot, and that looks. Better? Yeah, that's way better. The Matrix, Harry Potter. The Matrix? The Matrix. I've seen The Matrix 1 like 40 times. I've seen The Matrix 2 and 3. Probably 8. I really like number 2 though. I might be the only one who is just like, number 2 was so good. Number 3 was all right. I think landing that plane was going to be impossible. There was no way they were going to be able to close that story off in a way that would please everybody, and it was fine. But number 2 was really cool. I really liked it. It had some of the best action, some of the best like lines, philosophy. Just number 2 was great. The Merovingian, I really liked it. And so he but yeah, is that an isekai? The Matrix? I guess he's within a land oppressed by the man, and really oppressed by literally the system, and he is able to, through self-actualization and through a rebirth in a very real sense, become more powerful, discover the power within himself, and use that power to save himself, help others, save the world, and conquer the bad guy through his own strength, might, ingenuity. Yeah, kinda. Yeah, very much so. Harry Potter? Well, if we go Harry Potter, then anybody who's been, who starts in, because there's a lot of Harry Potter stories. Star Wars, the Harry Potter is Star Wars kind of thing. Would we consider Star Wars an isekai? Right? Because Star Wars itself is more of a it's the hero's journey, right? That's, I mean, it's literally quintessential the hero's journey. But it's because it's a guy who's there and in the world, literally in a world, and then he's taken out of that world, and then he is told that he has powers beyond his understanding, after, and then he's able to understand those powers in the same way that an RPG, if you're isekai into an RPG, you learn the system, you have to level up, the XP gets counted before stuff, you know what you're doing. So he's very much in that realm of leveling up. Usually in the isekai, it's very fast, right? He goes from 0 to 1,000,000 quickly, right? And so therefore, him becoming more powerful, and then eventually, but I think it falls apart at the end, like, because he doesn't. It's not about conquering the man. It's really about, it's the story of a family. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't know. But a whole hidden world within our own, not so much Star Wars, but Jedi are part of the system. Yeah. And the Jedi are seen as a negative part of the system. Like, when you watch the first three, it's not inherent that the Jedi are good. They actually are deeply flawed, right? That's actually one of the issues. That's why you need a Darth Vader. The Darth Vader is almost like the virus that's meant to cure the problem in an extreme way. And so he brings balance, and then he fixes, because the Jedi are out of balance and the Sith are out of balance, and so therefore you need someone who comes in and is the best of the Jedi and the best of the Sith to reboot the system, which is and not that I want to get into the new movies or whatever like that, but they had nothing to do with that. It was so soulless and horrible. Like, it completely missed the point. It's so bad. I'm not going to talk about that. We've been talked to death, but it's like the whole universe that he had built, so powerful. Yeah. Okay. That's I don't know. So what I'm saying, I think I'm introspective, and I'm thinking about this because in a sense there is this sense of powerlessness within me, because there's stuff that I can't do, and there's a system that I can't fight, right? This is code. Let me get a little too existential or a little too introspective on you, and so don't take this for on face value, because this is me processing as opposed to concluding. So this is all up here, not down here. And so it's like there is a system that I'm fighting, right? The system that is the algorithm, or the system that is social media, or the system that is the institutionalized church. These are big systems that I have no power over, right? I can't make the algorithm discover me. I can't make traditional church even look at me, right? Like I was just at a meeting where the whole, literally, how are we going to reach the world? How are we going to reach the world? How are we going to reach the world? It's just, our plan for the next 10 years is to, and the word online didn't come up once. And like, well, it did. It came up once when they mentioned me. Like, we have many ministries, also he's online, and then moving on one time in the entire weekend. That's all it was. And it's like, it's so the uphill climb to try to convert or to even get into the voice of the church, traditional church. That is really difficult. So that is a powerlessness that I have that I can't change, because you can't walking up to a pastor and saying, hey, can I have your pulpit? Doesn't work. The algorithm is a system. It is a secular system. It is a system built on triteness, on frivolity, on vice, avarice. Like, it's bad. It's like, and I don't play that game, and so therefore I feel like the system is something that is holding me back, and therefore something I have to conquer, kind of thing. So I've got these various big systems that I can't really do anything about. And I have, well, yeah, that's a good point, Girk. Ish, kinda. You're brought into Narnia, and but it's there. They don't have power, right? They don't end up having power when they're over there. They have character. They conquer through character. Not really. Like, they have weapons. They get special weapon, but they don't really have powers. Like, what's their power? You talking about ReZero? Well, that's it, right? So but it's not. It's something that they had before. But is it reckoned? Like, were they being held down? Well, I guess the war. They have the war, and then they have like a British school system. Like, what are they being isekai from? Yeah, well, no, some of them have a smartphone, but yeah, but exactly, it becomes a superpower. Again, I'm not going to argue with you because, in a very real sense, we were here and now we're there, and then we elevate ourselves, we become kings of the entire place, and we save the world. Except for we don't. Aslan does, and we're kind of following him. But yeah, I get what you mean. You're not wrong. Yeah, that is kind of isekai-ish. Yep. Yep. But kind of backing up to what I was saying, so I've got all the, in my mind, I've got this kind of systems that I'm trying to fight, and a power that I feel that I have. It's actually very evident in the conversation that I've been having with God and with about sort of who I am. That one of my deepest flaws is the sense of abandonment that I have. We've talked about this before. This idea that all friends are going to leave and everybody eventually hurts me. So therefore, that's just kind of the baseline of all relationships. Well, the issue is that's connected directly to why I wonder why my reality doesn't match what I've been told, right? Because I've been told my whole life, I have great potential and I've got skills and gifting, but then I look at how life is, and I'm not popping off. I'm not super popular. I'm not successful in the way that I would want to be successful. I feel forgotten by a lot of the people that were at the beginning were being encouraging. So like, what happened and where, so I'm losing kind of that. And so therefore, since my reality doesn't match my potential, what's wrong? Is it the system? That I have to fight the system? Is it something inside of me? Is it God that is just like, no, you don't get that. You're not going to have that. That's it. That's not what you get, or not yet, or something. And so I'm in this kind of realm, and then therefore, like with that as my framework, the big issue and the reason that the numbers matter to me so much is because when I see the number dip or when I see the number grow, it directly connects to my sense of self-worth, which is directly connected to my fear of abandonment, right? So when the number goes down, it's not, oh, I must not be having a good stream, or not that big a deal. It's people are leaving me. People who like me don't like me anymore. They've finally given up on me. They're gone. They'll never come back. They hate your guts now for no reason, right? All that stuff comes crashing in, it's bad. I'm not saying that's a good thing. And that's kind of what I'm working through. Like, where does that come from, and how do I deal with it, and how do I, fight that, and how do I make it? Because it's not true. People have lives. People move on. Sometimes my content does suck. And sometimes it's not about that, and it's not about growing. Like, I know the truth, but in the moment, with the emotional kind of complexity of it, is that. And so I think one of the reasons I like isekai so much is because sometimes your internet goes out. Yeah, there you go. They're like the isekai so much is because for them, it is, and a lot of the time, it's an actualization of that which was inside them before, but amplified because of the world that they're in, right? So they're very good at video games. Doesn't mean much in the world that they're in, but when they get isekai, all that knowledge and ability suddenly makes it so they can take on the world, right? They had no power in the last one. When they get there, they now have power. They had no agency, but now they can do whatever they want. They had no, they were worked to death, but now in this one, they get all the rest and all the entertainment and all the love and all the found family and everything that they want, right? It's fulfilling a need with something that they deeply desired or already had inside of them, and now they can actually do it. And so I watch these things and I'm like, it's not just simply because, isekai are dumb bubblegum things I don't have to worry about and think about. I think it's because technically we're isekai. Well, that's it, right? The power fantasy, the living their lives and living in their shoes and stuff like that. I try not to do that too much, but it's hard not to. That's the whole. If you're gonna get into the show, or you're gonna be interested in the show, you kind of gotta at some point put yourself in their shoes and kind of figure that out. As far as like, what are they gonna do, and what would I do, things like that. So I don't know. That's where I'm at, and I'm still processing. There's no conclusion. Right now, there's no conclusion. It's still, I've got a lot of emotions that are up. I've got a lot of, what do I do? Why do I do what I do? I got a lot of, what is the future going to look like? And what do I need to reprioritize? What do I need to change? How do I need to bet, all that stuff. And I don't know yet. That's why I'm working through it. It's like I sent these out to some folks to hear back. And my daughter was the first one to come. I sent it to her and she came back and she's like, yeah, that was, I see that, what you said seems accurate. that's anything else. Talks for like 45 minutes. But like, yeah, like what you said seems accurate, and it's something that I don't see anything wrong in there. And it was at least that was nice, because at least I feel like I'm not. I never watched Flash Gordon. I feel like maybe I'm not lying to myself, which is good. Jumanji? Yeah, but again, Jumanji is not an isekai in that sense, because they don't have power. It's the same with a zombie movie, right? A zombie movie is not it is about the environment sucks and is horrible, and you have to just get out of it. Like, they out by the skin of their teeth, right? Alice in Wonderland, I don't think is an isekai in that sense, because she doesn't have power. She just is along for the ride, right? I guess that's true. Okay, so you're right. I'm using the phrase incorrectly, right? I guess I'm using the phrase incorrectly in that. So is there a better word? Being a streamer is a position. Anybody can be a streamer, and it doesn't mean that they're going to be good at it. That's like saying holding a hammer makes you a carpenter, right? No, that's not true. I think there's something about being successful on stream. There's a power within it that makes you a successful streamer. So I don't agree with that, Zach, because anybody can be. Zach is a superpower. Okay. All right. If that's where your framework is, these guys have them come to Earth and they lose their powers. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm using the wrong. Then I would say I'm using the wrong phrase, because for me, that must be a subgenre. Is it then? Is there a subgenre? Because more, in my mind, the ones that I watch are you move into another world and you have some kind of power, right? Power instead of friendships, places, society, like the king. They gain cool skills and weaponry, usually too, which could be considered a power. Yeah, well, like Solo Leveling kind of is isekai-ish in that way, in that it's a power fantasy, but he doesn't actually get pulled into a different world. He's in his own world. His world is already a little bit weird. Isekai, Japanese term meaning other world, subgenre of Japanese manga, other media to involve character being transported from part to different worlds in the parallel universe. Yeah, that's that in its root sense. So is it just power fantasy isekai? Is that because, like, the one that came out, where the guy takes the elf on a little tour of Japan and how amazing it is, and they're just like really enjoying each other. That's also an isekai, right? Because when he dreams, he's in one world, and when he's awake, he's in another world, and he was able to take his elf with him when he woke up, which is nice. Then they have a little thing. So that is kind of isekai, but it's not a power fantasy. Except for it is when you're dreaming, which, okay. Now I'm confused. Subgenre in the West, there's action movies about it, some cartoons, sometimes live. Well, that's what I guess that's what I was saying before when it comes to the process of how it works out then I'll say power fantasy isekai, which is the one I'm specifically talking about, is in Western culture it's individualistic, whereas even the Justice League, right? The Justice League doesn't get along. The Justice League, the institution itself is always broken. The relationships there don't work. They break up as often as they try to work together. They're begrudgingly held together because of the necessity of the League of Villains, right? Like, it's not whereas in the power fantasy isekai that I'm describing, when they build their team / harem, they are held together by bonds, by friendship, by wanting to be together. All right, I'll click on that. Hey, it's Samus on my screen. Yeah. And then Samus got eaten by pack. Different kinds of isekai. All right, here we go. Let's load this up then. Nope. Missed it by a mile. All right. Zoom. Types of isekai by this guy. Main 3 types. Isekai in its simplest form is a story which protagonist or group characters is thrown into another, usually fantasy world. There are 3 types of isekais: reincarnation, transmigration, summoning. For reincarnation, a protagonist is thrown into a world, residing in a new body, usually after unfortunate death and likely being at the need for truck-kun. That's truck-kun. Or dying at their desk. Yeah. We struck down evil with a mighty sword of teamwork and the hammer of not bickering. Mystery. Is that a real quote? If it is, I love it. It's very true. Because they don't bicker. Like in the real, like in the harem anime, they just get along, man. Like, I mean, yeah, you've got the tsundere, but it's not. That's her thing, so it's not quite the same. Transmigration. Protagonist enters a world through his age and body intact, though his race can be changed through a whim. All right, so they just get dropped in. Like, there's one that I was watching where he just woke up. No, but he had powers when he woke. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they bicker all the time. Exactly. Thank you for the lurk. Summoning. Protagonists are teleported from a world due to the actions of another person or group. Yeah, like when you're in school and all of a sudden a portal opens up beneath you, poof, there you are. But when you get there, it's like you were brought here as the hero. As the hero, you get special powers, right? Transmigration, you get there and you are yourself, but you are discovered. You discover the power within yourself, usually. I'm trying to think of any time you're weak, other than ReZero. But even then, his power, he's got a bad power. His power sucks. But it's still a power he didn't have. Mostly Green Lantern's fault, probably. Who's so mean to Green Lantern? He's just a space cop. Leave him alone. Is Fate? I don't know. When you summon King Arthur over as a cute blonde high schooler, is that isekai? For them, I guess. 4 main styles. Full isekai. Story where everything revolves around the summoned, reincarnated, or transmigrated protagonist. This type usually takes place in an early, immersive, but generic world. As most readers are already familiar with the setting present in these types, the world building does not have as much need of fleshed out. Yeah, that's where you are now in the game. Or you are now in... Well, you're now in the game. That's what that is. You're now in the game. Right? I mean, she is, but yeah, it's just funny that she gets, gender swapped and ends up not being, the power of kingliness, I guess. As good swords will hit people. Full isekai is wish fulfillment or fluffiness. There you go, wish fulfillment. I like that. That's the phrase I was looking for. Not so much power fantasy, wish fulfillment. I think that's much better. You don't know about any of this. Oh, Zach, you and I should binge a few. Would you guys be interested in watching some isekai on... I shouldn't do that. We can't do that. Because they all have stuff that you guys don't like looking at and probably shouldn't like looking at, or are going to be a problem and we're going to end up having an issue. So never mind. We can't watch anime together. Wish fulfillment or fluffiness. Fluffiness? Why is that a word? Fluffiness. Fluffiness? Full isekai is a wish fulfillment or fluffiness first, and everything else is second. And although the specific story may have 1 or 2 things that are unique, mostly generic and trope filled. Plot points arise more like check marks, and action much the same. Furthermore, drama, though it can exist, isn't what pushes readers to enjoy the story, but more likely to continue to climb the strength. The increase in lovers, just simply diabetic inducing fluffiness. Okay, yeah, that's my favorite kind. that is my favorite kind of isekai, is the fluffiness, diabetic inducing fluffiness. That's exactly what I meant. And it's because it's a counterpoint to my life, right? It's yeah, okay. I feel like it's written derisionally. Like it makes me like I'm bad for liking that. Derisively, there you go. But I'm like, but that's what I like. Does Pokemon have anything like this? It's all I watch. No, I don't think so. Digimon, but even then, your power is through the animal. I guess your cleverness. Diabetic fluffiness, yeah. So it's the marshmallow equivalent of literature. All right, yeah. This doesn't mean full isekai is bad. Oh, good. Or lesser than the others. It is, though. After all, there are always readers available for this type, so write it with no shame. Story's only good as the enjoyment it brings. Yeah. The full and the full short for fulfillment. Oh! Fulfillment. Yeah, fulfillment. Okay, there you go. Fulfillment. Yeah. I get it. Interesting. Yeah. Wish fulfillment. Yeah, cool. All right. Full isekai. Yeah, full fulfillment isekai. Very good. Japanese, just cram two words together. Reduce one of them. Dynamic isekai. Usually having a cast that is just as fleshed out as the main character. This type of isekai is a moving world where nothing waits for the main character to step into. Though this naturally lends itself to more political nature, with the fantasy land as the stage, it does not have to be. Perhaps what separates a dynamic isekai from a full isekai are two things. The main drive in the story, while the latter is usually chalked up to get stronger or live comfortably, the former is likely more complex and maybe even unknown to a certain point. Okay, all right. Human power? No, it's always superpower. I mean, it depends, right? If you play D&D, those are powers. Hey, Lomo, right? Those are powers. Your charisma, your my brain's not working at all. Intelligence, your wisdom, things like that. Those are considered to be powers, which in the real world you are, right? So you're a wizard, and yes, you're a paladin, and you can heal people. But it feels to me anyway, that's an extension of your your ability to be wise, your ability to be intelligent, your ability to be powerful or strong or tank. You know, that's I don't know. In my mind, it's less about the superhuman, just power, and more about the channeling of your abilities into a magical way. I guess. I haven't really thought about that. Humans with powers, always humans? Yeah, always. I mean, you as a human, you get isekai'd into a different body or a different race, right? Like, for example, in Sword Art Online season 2 or arc 2, you're isekai'd into an elf. Doesn't mean he's not himself, but he's, that's season 3. 2 is elf. 3 is the gun one, I think. Anyway, separate dynamic isekai from full isekai. The world, the dynamic isekai takes place in a non-generic world. Usually has a lot more world building than others, and a lot more variety and uniqueness in design. Take a note. I wish you had examples. You know what? I'm gonna do this. I like this article. It helped. Whoop! Actually, I already did this. I like this article and helped me to understand the differences, but I need some examples of the different kinds. Help me out. Okay. I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on Pride Month? It's the celebration of pride. It's an odd thing there's a lot of because it's, in my mind, it's framed as heroic, right? The reason that you have Pride Month is because people have heroically stepped forward to announce themselves to be different from the world, and thereby are special, right? So the idea is that you too you are special by virtue of the nature of your sexuality. That makes you special, and so therefore you should revolve your personality around that. But having a sexuality or having a gender isn't a power within itself, right? It's more along the line, and to me anyway, the Pride Month thing, if I turn it on its head, it's more along the lines of going against going against the church, going against history, going against authorities, going against schools, going against the past, going against tradition, things like that. It's I stand alone as an individual against the system. I take pride in my difference, pride in my uniqueness, pride in my whatever their thing is from the LGBTQ thing of it. That becomes their identity. And it's like if you look at, say, when you celebrate the military, right? When you celebrate the military, you can point to things that are exceptional about them in deeds and actions. Kind of go like they went and they conquered Hitler, or they went and they saved a country, or they went and they did heroic stuff at the Iwo Jima, and they like that. You can point to that and kind of go, okay, these people, though not all of them, but these people are heroes because of the exceptional nature of what they were doing. Whereas I'm trying to think of other holidays or other times of like Black History Month is a good example, right? You have Black History Month, which is there was an oppressed people who were going through a ton of stuff that were really treated horribly, but through the strong character, through their morals, through other people that have been heroically helping, and through their own heroes who stood against the system, were able to come about finally, Abraham Lincoln. I'm trying not to say because of some white people who were like, let's let the slaves out, but it is kind of true, right? Eventually there's some white people that are like, we should stop that, William Wilberforce, Abraham Lincoln kind of thing, going, we should stop that. And then they did. And then let's remember how bad it was, how bad it still is in some kind of ways, and be careful about going back there. I think that has a real value. Let's remember that we're not over this racism thing. Let's remember how bad it really got. Let's remember how we should work together, that we shouldn't forget this thing. Sort of like in the same way, let's not forget, like through Remembrance Day, let's not forget the heroes, forget the wars, forget what brought us there, forget what their sacrifice was. I think in the same way, Black History Month, we should remember how bad it was and how much they went through, and we should not do that again. Pride Month, on the other hand, is usually framed within the same kind of thing as Black History Month. They're kind of meant to be similar. The LGBTQ community went through all this stuff and were oppressed, and then they were able to be liberated through their own heroes like milk or whatever. And I just don't think that's true. And I think the difference, because I don't know, I in a sense, from their perspective, their entire if your entire universe and self revolves around your sexuality and gender, and that's what you feel as though you can't do, you are making yourself, you will see yourself as oppressed, right? For example, I want to wear a dress, and I feel like I'm a female in a man's body. I want to be like that outside the house, right? So I'm gonna go be that outside the house, and now everybody seems upset. Or I have non-traditional love interest, whether it be gay, lesbian, or poly, or incest or child stuff, like whatever. I'm not like the others, and so therefore when I go out into the world, I want to be able to be affirmed for that. I want people to celebrate me and my relationship in the same way that they celebrate traditional heterosexual marriage. When people are like, oh, you got married, that's amazing, that's wonderful, congratulations, they want that, but for their own version. I think the main difference is that racism was based within nationality, and it was based within color, right? We hate you because you're Irish, we hate you because you're black. and or we we hate you because you're a lesser creature, and so therefore we're going to we perceive you as a lesser creature, and so we're going to take you and we're going to oppress you and hurt you, not because of your opinions, not I guess not because of you're just not conforming. It's just because we hate you. That's racism. Whereas I don't think it's the same with Pride Month. I think one of the things about Pride Month is that they don't actually, a lot of the problems that they have are sort of self-inflicted. For example, they have a real desire to make the church affirm them, right? They will fight the church. They will sue the church. The classic example is like that Christian bakery from forever ago, the Christian photographer from forever ago, where they're like, this person must be punished because they won't make a cake with me, right? There's a million other places they could go. There's nobody is stopping them from having their wedding or whatever, but they demand that this person serve them, and they would phrase it in such a way. It's the same thing as when black people when they're not allowed to go to schools. It's segregation, and I don't think that's true. It's different. It's fundamentally different. I understand why they have it. I would say this. I understand why they have it, and from a secular perspective, they can look at it and go, we have overcome a lot. We have changed things. We have heroes. We fought stuff, and they frame it just like Black Lives Matter or Black History Month or whatever. Same framing, same exact argument. But I think because, and I'll switch to a biblical world, in that in the biblical worldview, they are like every person on earth, that if you're human, male, female, black, Asian, white, whatever, you have value inherently because you are made in the image of God, and therefore you should be respected as such. There's no separation based on our physical natures or based on what we look like. Shouldn't be. Even our different gifts. Within Scripture, we recognize that just because you are more gruff, you're not worse than someone who's more sensitive. They're both gifts. Got to figure out how to work together. But yet at the same time, God is very clear in Scripture about LGBTQ being sinful. There's no question about that, right? Like you can't. There's no argument to be made where within Scripture, the same-sex marriage or transgender can be argued. And so what they're trying to do is they're going against, in a very real sense, going against God's standard, going against traditional, the way that the family has been structured. If the family is the foundation of all civilization, and they're disassembling the family, as in the way the family was set up by God, then it's going to be a problem. And that's what they're celebrating. I think that's the biggest difference. From a Christian worldview, it's very the celebration of things that are flagrant sin, and the irony of it being Pride Month is that word is it's just right, just the right word. It is self-focused. I don't care what other people think. I don't care what I'm more important. My opinion matters more. My feelings matter more. Get out of my way. You all have to affirm me. Anybody who disagrees with me is just plain wrong. Right? That's pride, that's arrogance. And so they're celebrating their ability to be proud of something that is inherently wrong. And that's why it rankles. Do I like it? The hard part of that is that whenever you say something like that, and especially I was trying to avoid kind of saying it that way, but you can't get away with saying it. But you can't say that in such a way that you don't sound like you hate them. Right? Because if you say, I don't affirm what you do, I think you committing yourself to this life is against what God has for you and is sin, it translates to most as then you hate me, right? And that's not true. That's not true. It's not the same thing. So therefore, the opposite of Pride Month for a Christian isn't to despise them or to fear them, right? A lot of people out there you're homophobic, and some people are homophobic. They're literally afraid of gay or transgender. It freaks them out. That's what I'm talking about. From a Christian perspective, we have love for them. We have desire to serve them. We want to make sure that they are given grace care, but at the same time, we can't affirm that decision because it is against what Scripture says and against what God has designed. We can't do it. Balancing that out and going, I can show you love, and I can make sure that you know that I care about you and that you as a human being matter to me, while at the same time holding the standard of like, no, I can't affirm what you do. That's difficult, especially in the world of today, where you have so many people who attribute their choices, their feelings, who they are, what they are, and how they feel to their self-worth. And if you say, no, I don't agree with you, what you're not saying, I don't agree with your lifestyle, I don't agree with your opinion, don't agree with what you've said, don't agree with your decisions you've made. You're saying, I think that you are bad. You as a person is bad, because instead of it being, this is something that I want, and therefore I've decided, regardless, this is who I am. And so therefore you're not saying this is something I don't want, this is something who I am, right? I am gay, not I do gay. That's not quite, but you know what I mean? Like, it's who I am and who I do. Oh, yeah, poor thing. Yeah. I don't know. Did that help? I kind of went off there. Like, those are my thoughts. Like, I don't have. I try to, whenever that kind of stuff comes up, I put myself in their shoes. I try to anyway. And I think about, if I was a gay person, trans person, if I was someone who had, queer tendencies, or if I was someone who had, non-standard sexual proclivities, and that was like, they're real feelings. I have friends who are trans, and they struggle all the time with their personal gender identity. They do. Like, for them, it's very real. I feel like I should be a boy and I'm a girl, and I don't like that about me. And I fight all the time to want to change my body and change my mind and change my hair and change my style and tell people that, that I'm not comfortable in my skin. They struggle with it a lot. And so it's not something I've struggled with, but I have struggled with identity. Who I am, what I do, why I do it. And what does that mean? Why do people hate me so much when I just do what I'm supposed to do? For me, that was the church, right? Like, my job is to preach. Stand up, say, here, deliver the mail. Here's what God said. Now people are mad at me. Why are you mad at me? Like, why are you punishing me? It's not even me. I'm just telling you what God said in the Bible. Stop being mad at me. And so I try to put myself in the shoes and go, that would suck. And then if you push that forward and you go, okay, as someone who's struggling with that, let's say they don't have a biblical worldview, they don't have Christians around, they don't have people to kind of go, this is a struggle, let's struggle together. What does God say? What is truth? They don't have access to the Holy Spirit. They don't have access to a loving community, loving parents who are like, yeah, you're built different, and that's totally appropriate. Let's find out who God created you to be. Because you don't have to be, so for example, for the girl, right? Like, you don't have to be a girly girl. You don't have to, like, do traditional, whatever we think the feminine is, because maybe you're not built that way. Maybe God's got a different plan for you. And it's not sin. It's not wrong. Yeah, I think there is a line, obviously altering your body and just presenting as the other gender, that's beyond the line. But maybe you're just not, like, that's not what you're supposed to do, because God built you different. Fine. But if they don't have that, and they go out into their school and they go into their school often, but like out to the world, and they find people for the first time who are like, I'm not going to be mad at you for you saying that. I'm not going to be upset with you. I'm not going to challenge that at all. You could be who you want to be, how you want to be. It doesn't really matter to me. We'll just like you. It's fine. And of course, that's going to be extremely freeing, right? That is a group I'm going to join. And they give me permission to be myself. They give me permission to think the thoughts that I have. They don't make me feel bad about it. They don't make me overthink it. They will, in fact, tell me that not only is it okay, but that I'm super special, and that the world's against me. It's not me, it's them. The world needs to change. All the things that I want to hear and that I've been feeling, they're going to tell me. So yeah, and then you join that group and they go, yeah, we're all like that. Suddenly you're going to feel elated, right? Elated by that connection. I would be too. right? Whenever you find somebody who gets you, who really gets, who understands who you are and accepts you, that's powerful. That's deep stuff. And I think that's probably the biggest strength, the biggest power of the LGBTQ community, is that they are extremely accepting, wildly so. And it actually worked against them, because the T came in, and the LGBT like talk, like they went, that's too far. Like even the lesbians and the gays, the bisexuals, who were like, our sexual identity is a really important part of who we are. We want to be affirmed in the same way homosexual or heterosexuals are. We want to get married. We want tax breaks. We want to have, we want to be able to adopt children. You know, that's what we want, because the only thing that makes us different, instead of being attracted to the opposite sex, we're attracted to the same sex. That's it. That's the only difference, man. And so therefore, give us the same thing. That argument can be made. The transgender, that when the T came in, that's a different animal altogether. That is not the same thing. And so therefore, as the transgender started to push forward and expand what they want, and expand what their freedom was, expand what they were, you know, even the lesbian, the LGB part of it was going, that's too far, dude. Like you are too far. You're pushing too far into telling everybody how you should live, and you're in the realm of perversion, even from our perspective, right? Like we are considered not right. We're considered perverts by the norm. No, you were even farther off, right? So they're even arguing with that. But the problem is, once you go, there is no standard, there is no box for human sexuality. No, there's no right answer. It's only, or no wrong answer. It's only right answer. There's nowhere to stop, because it's like, what are you gonna do? Tell someone, no, you can't feel that way. No, you can't be attracted that way. No, you can't live that way. No, you can't think that thought and feel that feeling. Your whole premise is that your feelings are more important, and your predilections are more important, and your desires are more important, and the world needs to bend to that. And so if they go, well, my desire is for children, I want to, do bad stuff to kids because it's normal for me. You have to affirm that. That's my identity, right? Where's your line? Where are you gonna put that line? You can't, because for us, we go line of scripture. Heterosexual, boom. That's the walls, right? And so therefore, if your thing is how you feel is how it is, they go, well, that's not allowed because it's illegal. Well, yeah, well, your thing was illegal like 20 years ago. Now it's not going to be illegal. Now it's not illegal anymore. We changed that. Go change the one for me. Well, that's very different because why? Give me the standard. Well, because it's bad for them. Well, 20, 30, 40 years ago, whatever, 50 years ago, we were saying the exact same thing about homosexuality, that it's physically bad for, like, gay. It's physically harmful to be gay. And you can make that argument, right? That's what it was. So therefore, nope, can't have that one either. And so therefore, it's like, in fact, being homosexual, lesbian, gay, bisexual was classified as a mental illness until very recently. Like, it was in the MSD, not MSDS, ESC. That 4, I think. Like, it was the manual for psychiatrists, the manual for people who are looking at mental health issues. It was in there. Like, this is not standard. It's actually going to cause a problem, and it's going to create further problems. That changed. So if you don't have that standard, it's going to end up, when people start pushing, it's going to, yeah, well, that's it, right? If you don't have the standard, there's no end in sight. And that Pandora's box has been opened. So, turning back to what's my opinion of Pride Month, right? I think in one sense, I can totally understand why you'd want to celebrate the fact that the feelings inside of you are so different. You finally found a group of people who affirms you, and you finally found a group of people that says that you're okay, and that liberated you, and it made you feel far less guilty, far less shameful, far less afraid. And now you feel like you can live. And not only that, they affirmed you, and all that, you set your identity about it, you're able to step out. And anybody who got in the way, you were able to finally get the government to crush them. Like we win, right? We win. However, the other side of it is the if you look at the way the Pride parade, the way the Pride Day and whatever, it's not just, hey, we're celebrating the fact that we as gay people, we as lesbians can get married now. It is extremely, a lot of it is very perverse. A lot of it is very weird and gross and sexually horrible. Like, there are places that are like, you can't have the Pride parade anymore because you were so off the rails. Like, there were kids there and you guys were like being really gross. And it, so that, and why is that the case? Because there's no boundaries, right? The pride, I can do what I want, you can't tell me what to do, is out of control. And so therefore their celebration of that pride became weird and gross, as opposed to celebration of the liberation of their sense of love. It's now a liberation of their perversion, like how really weird, gross they are. And to the point of, it has nothing to do with pride, it has everything to do with selfish attention and shock value, which isn't very pride. Yeah, I don't care how you think, I'm gonna make you feel gross, make you happy. I'm gonna make you look at stuff you shouldn't look at because it makes me, gets me off. That's what it can become, and it has become someplace. My only comment, Data God, is just the if it's got like 4 or 5 clock bots in a row. That's not my favorite thing, but you're testing it, so we'll see how it looks on when it's just in normal. I know you're testing, so it's not a big deal. Just like if your chat looks like it's only a robot talking to itself. But yeah, you're just testing, so I totally get it. Are you still there? Did I totally completely mess you up, Lil Mo? I'm sorry if that went off the rails or whatever. Just riffing. Dirk said, I saw a video today about a guy that just detransitioned and his experience was going trans at 18 with drugs. No, he actually just bad. Well, actually, that's one of the things that you're seeing more and more and more is that you have these people who are affirmed when they're 6, like in kindergarten, do a gender test. Oh, you're a little girl. Okay, and then just put them on that rail. Their parents who were like, wow, that makes me feel really special. I'm unique. I'm cool. I'm the parent of whatever. But look at me and how cool I am and how accepting I am. And they end up doing it on the back of their child who just different or was exploring or was interested or whatever. Or they just said, I want you to be like this, and did it to them. And they end up becoming real messed up, And if it gets too far, by the time they're 14, 15, 16, 17, if they're on these transitory drugs, and it's wrecking their puberty and wrecking their body and wrecking their, whatever. And then, God forbid they actually go and have surgery and things like that. And then when they finally reach maturity, their brain actually develops and they are liberated from their parents. Then they come back around. They're like, oh, wow, that wasn't me. That was them. Or that was me seeking my identity because I wasn't comfortable. And I just found a group that made me feel better. And so therefore I was like, I was pushing against my nature just so I can be accepted by them. I knew that it was going too far. I knew that it wasn't quite what I wanted, but I just was so tired of being rejected that I was like, fine, I'll do it. Fine, I'll do it. Or fine, I'll say that. Fine, I'll say that. And then finally, when I was liberated, became mature enough to have my own opinions, mature enough to have my own, more secure within myself, whatever. All of a sudden, I don't want to be that anymore. And I look down, look around and be like, what carnage have I left in my wake? Or it was left in my wake because of the decisions that were thrust upon me or that I was making. Not because I was fully committed to this new lifestyle, but because I just wanted to be accepted. That's a real issue, right? That's a consequence they're having right now. If you look at I saw a map a while back, and it was like the amount of gender transition clinic 10 years ago or 20 years ago or whatever versus the one 10 years later, and it went to it's like thousands of % more. And why? is it because suddenly everybody was like, wow, there's like a zillion trans people out there? The answer is money, right? As brash and cold as that is, there's a lot of money in that. And now that the government's like, yeah, we'll pay for it. Yeah, of course I'm gonna affirm and do that, because I want, it's the same people that will do cosmetic surgery on people who don't need it, right? You want to give me however many tens of thousands of dollars so I can wreck a perfectly good nose, or I can suck fat out of you, or deaden all your nerves because you don't want to have a wrinkle because you have mental health issues and self-esteem issues. Sure, I'll do it for money, right? And it's just it's bad for them, it's bad for the person, bad for society, bad for their future, bad for their body, bad for their relationships. They feel bad later. But why will they do it? Why will these doctors who are sworn to care do it? Because money. And we're doing that same thing to children. You know what I mean? And by children, I mean all the way up to like 17. Only church was loving, accepting places Jesus wanted it to be. And that's another part of it, right? Because there are so many, and I said, there are a lot of people in the church who are afraid. The one thing, like for me, I don't know, you guys have been here for about 4 years. Some of you have been here for 4 years now, some of you less time. But you guys see how quickly I jump on anybody who is mean to someone else in chat, right? And the reason is because one of the fundamental things I want this channel to be is accepting of people up front, right? Is a place where honesty is paramount, and where you can ask your quote unquote dumb questions. You can share from your heart, and nobody's going to jump down your throat. The problem with the nice thing about being online like this is that people show up. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what they sound like. I don't know what they're, I don't know nothing. They don't even have to shower. They can just show up and say whatever they want. I take them at face value, and I treat everybody the same. Whereas, if they go to church and they walk in there, and if they've got, I don't know, physical deformity, or they are in a wheelchair, or they are struggling with gender identity, all that stuff, right? If they do that, they are immediately they're on the defensive. The church doesn't know what to do with it, and they don't know what to do with it. And so some of the churches have overcorrected to be able to go, we're going to just remove the gospel, and we're going to remove scripture so we can be more accepting. Problem is, by its nature, the gospel is divisive, right? That's what it is. You have to say, I'm a sinner. I do not deserve to go to heaven. I am wrong. God is right. And God deserves to judge me. I deserve judgment, and I will accept my fate to go to hell because of the fact that I deserve it. However, God, right? However, thank you for Jesus for taking all that so that I could be, I could be saved. That itself that's a line that some people won't do. That's the opposite of pride, right? Pride is, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what God thinks. It doesn't matter what society thinks. It doesn't matter what the government thinks. It doesn't matter what my parents think. It doesn't matter what the schools think. It doesn't matter what the doctors think. It is me. I get to make choices. Opposite of that is the gospel. My choices do matter. My choices do affect people. My sin is like ink that has gotten over everything and everyone in my entire life. And I am the biggest problem in my life. And not only that, I have gone against God. I've gone against his word. I've gone against his plan. I've tried to usurp him, and it's all bad. I'm a bad person, and I accept that. God help, right? Change me, fix me, clean me up, fix my motivations, change all that. That's the opposite of pride. That's humility. It's one of the reasons that I find it so odd that they use the word pride, because it's just so on the nose when it comes to the opposite of the gospel. There must have been better words. I find it ironic that conversion therapy, helping someone bring their desires in line with their sex, is banned, but it's also compulsory to provide gender-affirming care that surgically denies the sex of someone made in. Our laws are schizophrenic. Yeah, I mean, they got the I think the biggest problem was the conversion therapy was telling people, affirming the struggle and saying, you're right, you should struggle against that. That was, whereas the gender affirming care is acknowledging the struggle, but the struggle is against the stuff outside of it, right? We're going to help you with the struggle with your parent with you, or whatever. We're gonna bring everything in line with, so the outside matches the inside, because the outside is what they're looking at. Therefore, if it looks like on the outside what you feel like on the inside, then people alone and you'll feel better. That's not how it works, right? What ends up happening is they just feel worse. Right? Statistically speaking, you go across the board. Like people who struggle with transgender, struggle with suicide, and when they get gender affirming surgery or whatever, the suicide numbers don't change. In fact, I don't quote me, but I think they go up. Like it's not helpful. It's not helpful. Because from a Christian perspective, keep waffling back and forth, but like from a Christian perspective, you're going against the fundamental nature of you as a creation made in the image of God, and you're working so hard to not be who God created you to be, trying to get away from who God created you, trying to suppress conscience, suppress your instincts, suppress the nature that is trying to connect to God, trying to pull you toward, like the society's trying to protect you from. You just have to push so hard against all of that instinct, and it ends up, you'll break. Orthodontists try to give my brother braces for his baby teeth. Yeah, well, because money, right? Like the assumption that doctors are always on your side is foolish. Pharmacists, like that they're probably a good guy, overwhelmingly probably a good guy or girl, right? They want your cold to feel better. They want you to not have pain in joints or whatever. They want to help, right? But not everybody who's trying to create or distribute these drugs have a good plan. They're not all on your side. Same with doctors, right? Some doctors are idiots. Some doctors failed their class. Some doctors are sick and tired of it. Some doctors are downright abusive. Some doctors are happy to give drugs that will destroy your life because they either don't care or they don't know what they're doing or whatever, or they think they're smarter than anybody else. Some doctors are willing to give you surgery you don't need. Some doctors are willing to all kinds of stuff. There was one person in the States. I always think of like the worst doctor ever. There's someone, I think they were in the US, maybe not, but they had body dysmorphia, and they felt like they needed to be blind. They're like, I'm supposed to be blind. I'm supposed to be blind. That's a mental health issue. That is not a physical health issue. They could see. They were fine at seeing. They felt like they should be blind, and they went and found a doctor that would pour bleach or horrible thing in their eyeballs. That doctor, it was absolutely wrong. Should not have done that. That was the wrong sort of care. You harmed the patient. What you should have done is say, hey, you got some brain issues, man. We're going to get you some counseling so that you don't feel like that anymore, or that you understand how to fight those instincts, because what you're doing is dangerous, horrible and bad. That's what a good doctor does. There are bad doctors. It's like there are bad pastors or bad surgeons, like that Samus was saying. There are some bad churches there. There really are. Churches that when you walk in, they are mean to you. Churches that when you walk in, they don't listen. They only speak. Churches that you walk in, that they're infighting like crazy. Churches that have leaders that are there not because God put them there, but because the rest of the church was too cowardly to not put them there. Churches that don't know the Bible, don't have the Bible, don't care about the Bible, but put the word church on the building. Like there's a lot of bad ones out there. And of course, they're the ones who, what's up, Jim? Good to see you. Good to see you. Crazy stuff happened. Trump removed funding that paid for my wife's private student loan, so I had to go back to work while doing full-time school. It's actually much better. Mental health stuff, but sucks that she lost $5K a month. Yeah, that would suck. I'm gonna sit down. We're talking about stuff today. I'm talking about isekai, and then I started sharing my own baggage, and then I don't know. Oh, I do know how. Little Mo came in and asked about the project. And now we've been talking about that for 30 minutes. Oof. Family time and games are way more fun when you have a job. I think as a guy, and not to get too it could sound a little sexist, but I'll speak from a guy's perspective, and generally speaking, the studies that I've done, guys need to be at work. Like we're no good if we don't have a task or a job or a purpose or a reason. Gotta have it. Otherwise we go nuts. We get in trouble. Classic sort of David Bathsheba situation. Doesn't have to be the job that is like using all your, shoveling dirt or being a CEO or whatever job. It's the job can be child rearing. I think that's perfectly fine, but the guy can't see that as he's settling, as in his wife is the one going to work and he's not going to. He has to be able to see it as my job is to be here and to do the best job possible of this task, and I'm going to treat it like a job. You could I think that's valid, right? I think it's valid. I know that there'd be some people like, no, men go to work and women have to stay home. I don't think that's true. I think there's situations where it works the other way, and that's perfectly fine. It's different. I think it's going to be weirder, but I think generally speaking, if a guy doesn't have something to do and he doesn't have a task, he doesn't have a list, he doesn't have accountability, he doesn't have somewhere to go regularly, and he isn't affirmed for that through pay or through some other fashion, he's going to feel bad. My potty is puppy trained and stuff. Yay! She's a genius, so that's good. That's good. Hi, Star Pony. Good to see you. Sometimes just speaking the truth can be offensive to some. That a good Christian speaking love and truth is also biblical. It's true. Oh, you're dead on. Yeah, you're dead on. Well, that's the whole point of kind of the Pride Month thing, right? Is we're talking about is that there are churches out there that will, when they speak God's word, when they say, we do not affirm that because that's not what God says is right. They're not heard as, oh, okay, that is a traditional opinion of humanity for a long time. It is, you're horrible, you hate us, and you shut down because you're hateful creatures who want to hurt us. And by virtue of your existence, we are hurt. By virtue of your opinion, we are hurt. And you are therefore not only offending, but you are actually actively persecuting. Not because they actually hurt the person physically or even emotionally, or anything, but because their opinion is different. And that's because some people really do believe that. It can really wreck you. Yeah, I don't think that's true. I mean, I couldn't think that and do the job I do. I have to tell people when they're wrong. It's the kind thing to do. Like I was talking to my daughter this morning about the difference between being nice and being kind. Right? She's like, there's a big difference between being nice and being kind, and not everybody should be nice. You shouldn't be nice. Nice people tend to avoid confrontation and will affirm when you're doing the wrong thing, and will, they don't want to confront you or try to pull you back. A kind person will, though. All the time. Well, just stop being wrong and it won't be a problem. Deeper. Be perfect like me. I hate it when people don't tell me I'm wrong because I want to be right. Not just told I'm wrong. Yeah. I not told I'm right. Yeah. I think the problem with that, Girk, is that you are also an arguer, right? Because it's like, I think you're wrong, and your response isn't, oh, okay, let me look into that. It's prove it, right? And if that person is speaking more from instinct because of spiritual stuff, or from because they experience but they can't really articulate it well, you will dismiss that opinion, and anybody who has that opinion you will dismiss because they didn't defend their position properly, even if it was right. And then you'll either have to learn the hard way, as in keep going down that road until something bad happens that the person was trying to warn you about, or until you figure it out yourself. I think I'm correct in that. Dynamic Christian streaming communities is crazy because it's an open door to many denominations and such. Friction is bound to happen over silly things. Oh yeah, that first thing that happened to me. I jumped into a stream, or no, I was on stream for a not very long time, and then within a few months, I connected to a group, and I thought they were really, really cool people. and they were fellow streamers, and they're like, yeah, let's, whatever. And they knew I was a pastor, and they saw me as a pastor. And so they're like, hey, we're building this thing, and we want you to come in, and we want you to be an elder in our group, right? In our online group, we want you to be a pastor elder there. And my response was, that word elder has consequences. Okay, the word elder scripturally has these consequences. Are you saying that you want me to come in and you want me to be this to you? Right, because that's a really, really big deal. I'm going to take it really serious. And their response was, no, we just want you to, be a person that we can talk to about Bible stuff. I'm like, cool, then say that. Happy to be that, okay? But they were stuck on this idea of using the word elder. And I'm like, I can't do that. And so their response very quickly was to delete me from their server, block me from all their servers, and to not to unfollow me and everything. Like it went from, hey, would you be our pastor elder, to you are anathema within almost no time. Which I'm like, no, I don't think you really wanted me to be your elder, because the moment I tried to clarify what scripture said, you freaked out and deleted me. Like, I don't think, so kind of dodged the bullet. But yeah, it was like the first thing that happened was I bumped into a Christian group who because of my beliefs, because of my stance on scripture, was not happy with me. So then have I then become, because yeah, good one. Yeah. It's probably autism, but I ask questions to figure out and get my brain to think about what they're thinking, but it always comes off as dumb. I mean, I do better when people understand that and engage. Yeah, I'm not saying it's wrong. I think clarity is important. But sometimes the path isn't, you're going the wrong way. Someone comes up and says, hey, you're going the wrong way. And then you immediately demand not only the reason, what is at the end, where it's going, what the correct path is, and how you should get to it. The correct thing is to go, let me think about it. Right? Sometimes it's they're not ready for that argument. For them, they're speaking out of instinct. Right? And sometimes. But I get it. Yeah. I've been very similar in the past, and I think I am similar, or have been for a long time. In that it's like, unless you can tell me why, I'm not going to listen, because you tell me, where's the verse on it? Give me a Bible. Give me some church father that you're quoting. Give me some psychiatrist, psychologist, encyclopedia. Where are you getting that? Yeah, and I probably caused myself a lot more grief by not listening to people who were speaking out of wisdom and the Spirit, but weren't able to articulate it well. And maybe falling for people who really well and articulate and knew scripture out the wazoo, but we're leaning on that instead of God. Disaster outside, but I got the bags in the dumpster, got back inside without problems. Is it a disaster out there? Bummer. Because of the cars? Or is it because of the weather? Like, what's going on out there? I got Isekai to a satanic Discord server with nothing but my Bible. No, I'm good. Asking questions is not the same as arguing. No, you're right. It's not. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, clarifying what do you mean, and explain a little bit. That's not the same as arguing. You're right. I feel like if your first reaction is to disagree, it is shame and break contact. You need to evaluate yourself. It's not the first reaction is different circumstance. Yeah, because that usually means they pushed a button, right? Like there was, for example, not that I know this for sure, but like in that group that I didn't join, they wanted to have authority, and they wanted to be the main area of influence and to do what they. And when I said, I'm going to hold you accountable to scripture, and if you tell me you're elder, I'm going to act that way. For them, they didn't hear, oh goody, an elder that'll help hold us accountable to scripture and to shepherd us. What they saw was a threat to their power, a threat to their authority, threat to their, you know, whatever. And so they had to remove me because it was a threat. I pushed a button. I'm gonna hold you accountable to the Bible, and that's gonna be the way it is. Oh, well, cred. Then no. I think in the same way, you know, if someone pokes you, like Star Pony was saying, right? Someone pokes you, and you immediately get angry, or you're like, I'm never speaking to you again. You really need to think about that. Why? Right? Why? That's pretty bad. We think he doth protest too much, sort of situation. Bible does tell us that, yeah, testing the scripture. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, right? Where the verses were. But my point wasn't that, because not everything is covered in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot, but if my immediate instinct is to go, you know, I'm not listening to you unless you have 500 footnotes and can convince me, then that's not the right heart. That's not the right heart, because there's some very nice people out there that have very bad advice, and there's some very gruff people out there that give bad advice in a very bad way, but it's good advice. And there are people out there that, you know, that know their Bible backwards and forwards so much so that they don't depend on God anymore, and they just quote stuff because they think it's right. They don't even listen to the Holy Spirit. They just talk Bible talk. And then there's people out there that are very in touch with the Spirit, very in touch with God, very, you know, sensitive to what God wants, but don't articulate it well, you know, and they don't have the memory for that. They don't have enough study for that. If they're new Christians, doesn't mean they're wrong, right? In fact, they could be dead on, because it's God's Spirit speaking through their spiritual gift or their instinct. But because they can't articulate it, I'm not going to listen. Right? That's what I'm talking about. The abuses of power of a Discord mod. I've never seen that. I've only ever had good mods. I've only ever had a good Discord. The occasional bad apple comes in, but you ask anybody, I'm pretty quick on the block button. Like, there was one guy came in a little while back, and I can't remember what they did or what they said. It was the person that got caught in the lie, that was lying about all, you know, being the cop or whatever. And, you know, my first blush instinct was like, okay, well, we should probably stay in contact. Maybe we can minister to them. But then immediately I'm like, nope, they are manipulative and they are mocking. Yeah, Turkey. And so I'm like, boom, gone. Block my channel, block the Discord, block Doco, block my, gone. You are gone, and you're not allowed to come back. And the reason is because they wouldn't have come back with any kind of nothing would have changed, right? Nothing would have changed. And it's I'm pretty quick on the block. There are 7 billion people playing, and if you're going to be a turd, then I will finish to the other 6,999,000,000. I'm doing okay. I'm doing a bunch of self-discovery, Jim. I'm like in the midst of this just thinking about myself, my power plan, my abilities, my weaknesses, damage, my purpose, mission, where is God and all that. What am I supposed to do for God? Am I going too fast or slow? That's what I'm in the middle of. So there's a lot that I'm working through. And today I just slept. Like I didn't get up, and I feel like because I wanted to be a good boy and do my devos for I just didn't, you know. Curly Fit Gamer comes in and Dirk wants me to talk about weight loss. Okay. What is up, everybody? Good to see you. Curly Fit Gamer, how are you? I think this might be the... Have we met before? Thank you for the follow. Later. How are you? Glad you're here. Welcome to the stream. My name's XtianNinja. It's easy mission here is just to love each other, build community, and take care of each other. I'm also the executive director of the Alliance for Creative Outreach, which is a network of Christian content creators that love each other and help each other. I wrote a book for them. We have a class for them. We take care of them. We have a Discord. So that's what I do. We build community here, love each other. It's always an AMA. I was a pastor for 16 years. I know some stuff. Been through a lot of things in my life. So we always like talking about anything ever. And then we talk about content creator stuff. That's what I'm doing. What do you do? I don't think we've talked much, if ever, at all. I don't recognize your name. Welcome. Kabuto Park became a braid today and played the game about bugs. Oh no. Thank you for the follow, Queen. Appreciate it. I think I saw another follow. Belong Cat. Thank you. Good to see you. Welcome. So bugs? I'm just gonna quickly Google up the name of that game. Kabuto Park. I'm just gonna look at it real close. Is it nice, bugs? It looks cute. I think I might be able to handle cute. Nope, I don't like it. Nope. I will share this with chat. I'm sorry. This is not my jam. There's no part of me that can do bug. I don't like bug. Nope. See that? It's adorable. It's adorable. I'll give it that. They're not scary, but there's something to do with skittering. Oh, I just had that like right before stream. I was changing that light bulb right there. And I reached in and I'm doing the light bulb. I'm like, oh, what's going on? I pulled it in and there's a live like bug crawling around the outside. Nope. That was no fun. Did you really just say taco so your creativity made it happen? Yes, I worked really hard to find an acronym. Ask the board. It was one of the few non-negotiables. It will be called an acronym of some kind. Let's find an acronym. Yeah. I appreciate you saying I'd be good at interviewing people. I think I would too. Just got to figure that out. I would have lost my... Yeah, no, bug's bad. Nope. Not a bug guy. I haven't been here a minute. We chatted a few times about the Word of God. Okay, yeah, far out. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for bringing your community. It means a lot. It's a big sense of trust. What we're talking about today, started talking about isekai. You know, does Western culture have an isekai? Then I was told I was using the word isekai. So we went and looked up what that is. And then that led into discussions about sort of literature of all kinds of power. I started sharing about myself, you know, why am I thinking about isekai stuff and power, fantasy, and wish fulfillment, things like that, which led to talking about some other personal stuff. And then someone just kind of came in and was like, so Pride Month, talk about that. And so we did that for like 30 minutes. And now someone said, are you losing weight? And my answer is yes, I am. Trying to anyway. I'm down 30 pounds. We'll see. I got to do the other 35. We'll see how that goes. Another stream part of the taco server. Yeah, we have a lot of people that are in there. A lot of people have taken the class now. A lot of people have taken the class. If you don't know what the class is, it's the taco class we run through. Basically, the philosophy of who are you as a streamer? Who is your person? Who's God created you to be? Who's the audience He wants you to reach? How are you supposed to bridge your content to them and the audience? What's your purpose, mission? You know, how do you build a community that actually helps people? It nothing to do with, you know, how to run OBS or specifically. It's the philosophy of influence. That's what we do. If you're curious, I do have a book, ! Book, and you'll be able to buy it. Yeah. Otherwise, just come in and ask me questions, and I'll tell you what the book's. I appreciate it. Have a good one. I should ask you about the fit part of your name someday. I would like to learn more about how to be fit. You're just going to tell me to eat less and exercise, have vegetables. Psh. Yeah, fun. Yeah, it's a lot. So, where were we? Does anybody want to jump in and remind me where we were, just so I can answer a question? We were talking about a few things, and I've forgotten all of them. About Pride Month? No, I'm good. I think we covered that to death. We're good. My Little Pony lore? Old school or new school? And like season 8? Was it season 8? Season 7, where all of a sudden they had all the other creatures that were in the school, right? That felt like it felt different. I think what they were trying to do was they were trying to alter the trajectory so that they have some new characters or whatever. But I'm so attached to, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, the Twilight Sparkle, Rainbow Dash, and Applejack, that even Discord, like that, to me, that's the crew. And so anytime that they kind of move over to the other one, I'm like, go back to the other guys. Now, I admit that, you've maximized the story, right? She's now an alicorn. She's now a princess. She's working her way there. Fine. Okay. We've kind of solved all the problems for them. But I don't know. I'm just not as vibed with the, what are those guys that look like bugs, man? Those guys are kind of cool, but the other ones, I'm not. Yeah. Although the deep lore, like when you start getting into, like Princess Celestia and Princess Luna, and then going all the way back to what's the name of that the wizard, beard guy, you know what I'm talking about, the beard guy. Anyway, the guy who actually made the sunrise, and they had the whole like group, and then Celestia was able to go. Like what even is Celestia? Because she was about to retire. I think it was season 9. I think it was season 9, where they're like, we're gonna retire. Darksworld the Bearded. Yeah, that's who it was. She was gonna retire. She's like, I'm done. I'm like, what do you mean you're done? You raised the sun. Like, that's your job. Like, when we found out that when Luna doesn't do her job, everybody in Equestria goes insane. Like, you can't retire. I'm sorry, because Twilight Sparkle is just really good at admin. She's not going to be able to raise the sun, and she's not even be able to keep people from going insane. She herself is on the edge of insane. Nobody wants her in the dream realm, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? You do know what I'm saying. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I know too much about this. No such thing as too much about this. What are you talking about? The question I have for Star Pony then, and this is I am very curious about this. Is Fluttershy still a vampire? At no point did they unvampire her. Okay? Like, we know why my Pinkie Pie has powers. Is because she has chaos energy. We know that. And so therefore that explains why she can pull things out of places, because she's actually got a portion of chaos energy. But they never, ever made it so that Fluttershy wasn't a vampire. And I'm like, man, they never came back to that either. Actually, My Little Pony did isekai for a bit. It became the Equestria Girls. And so Equestria Girls was where the My Little Ponies passed through a magic mirror and ended up isekaiing into a world where they were people instead of ponies. And they went to school. So it was kind of reversed. They went to school from their fantasy world. Like, she's in full vamp. It's just, she still has some stuff because we see what we're saying. Yeah, we do. Right? We do. Exactly. It's a little, you're like, man, there's something going on there. I just think it's something. Yeah, you attributed to the conversation. How did you get into My Little Pony? Somebody asked. My Little Pony's good, man. It's really good. I've seen almost all of it. Season 9 wasn't allowed in Canada for like 2 years. We finally got it. Like, literally like a month and a half or 2 months ago. So we've been working our way through it slowly. But I'm huge My Little Pony. I have here you go. I'm not going to say who this is. Who's that? You know who that is? Yeah. What? Don't judge me. That's Dr. Hooves. Yes, it is. It's Dr. Hooves. In the crossover episode where you had Doctor Who. He's a Time Lord. Yeah. Dr. Hooves. Where's that found? Oh, I think we watch it on Crave. Not that I think you have Crave, but Got my husband to start watching it with me. He was hooked up. Yeah, it's well, because the way they do it in My Little Pony is the first 2 episodes are full on epic, like mind crazy, blow your mind action, deep drama, heart wrenching stuff, and then like 15 episodes of bubblegum and normal cartoon. We just started season 9 and it was like super depressing and they blew up everything and I was like wrecked and I'm like, what is happening? And then I remembered that it's the first 2 episodes and they always do insane things in the first 2 episodes to completely and radically alter the entire universe. What's the next tactical classes? We're talking about doing it in August, DJ. Because we're gonna go August, September, October, November, and we should be able to get ourselves to reach before. And I'm gonna do it live. Hell or high water, I'm gonna do it live. We've been doing it through the videos, but I feel I miss it so much. I want to come in and teach the class to people instead of me just being there on occasion. I enjoyed Death Note and Attack on Titan, more deep themes in those. I did not like Attack on Titan. It was gross. And I think part of the reason was because they were trying so hard to be a bummer that there was almost no redeeming quality to it. Like it was like, this is bad, this is bad, this is worse, this is bad, this is worse, this is bad, this is bad, this is worse, this is bad. And by the way, it's all dumb. And like, it's like, you're like, wow, that was horrible. I don't like that at all. So yeah, I'm not a fan. I think I watched up to season 3 and I couldn't do it. I'm like, I'm done. The Death Note, I like Death Note right up until they started playing tennis together. And then I quit. Because I'm like, that's dumb. As soon as it became a school thing, I'm like, you know what? I can't even. I watched the Netflix one, but that was kind of terrible. You know, the family speculated about the gears for year. Speculated about what? Speculating about what with MLP? Yeah, Attack on Titan is grody. I didn't like it. The message was literally, in the pursuit of freedom, you will become a slave to the show. Yeah, it's messed up. Oh, about Dr. Hooves. Oh yeah. Well, Cheese Sandwich is another one. Like it's hard not to separate Cheese Sandwich from who he really is, because he really is himself in that show. Like we're like literally like, yeah. And you know he named himself. So like we talked about that before. They talk about, you know, isekai. I like isekai. I'm actually going to be putting together and am putting together slowly a review of the animes that I've watched. I'm gonna have like a top 10 that kind of keeps changing as I watch and better ones. But I can't tell you right now. Like I'd literally have to I'd have to go through all of my Crunchyroll history to even remember what I watched. Like that's how much and fast I watched them. Like I'm watching like 4 of them. What am I watching right now? The Red Ranger, and I'm watching the Clueless, or the Altier, right? Like I'm watching a whole bunch of them. Full Metal Panic, I really liked Full Metal Panic. That was a lot of fun. It's old school, but it is very serial and it has some silly parts, but it's also got a lot of heart. I like Full Metal Panic. Later season of AoE is just literally retelling World War II, except both sides are Nazis. Who asked for that? Nobody asked for that. I tried Attack on Titan, but I couldn't get past first episode because of the gore. Yeah, it was pretty gross. I like there's that uncanny valley that they dip into really hard in the with the Titans. Like it's meant to be visceral. The whole point is meant to make you go, you know, so that you feel gross. I don't like feeling gross. I like watching trashy isekai to make me feel better, not gross. Cheese Sandwich. Cheese Sandwich is as character. I respect. And he's Weird Al Yankovic, the character. he comes in and he's himself. What if Weird Al Yankovic was a My Little Pony? Full Metal Panic was fun. It inspired me to read the light novels, which ironically became the first non-Western literature I ever read. Oh, that's super interesting. Really? That's cool. I'm a big fan of light novels. Give me those over the manga any day of the week. I am. Yeah. I can't. I'm not actually very good at comic books and manga because I go and I flip past. You're like, oh, the art's so good. I'm just reading. Yeah, I've seen Jobless Reincarnation. I think I watched the first half of it twice, and then the last half once. I liked it. Yes, you got to get through a lot of the first part where you're like, that feels wrong. I don't like that at all. But it actually, it's messed up for the first bit, but after they get past the, like he's a weird pervert who, when he's 10, like once you get to the story, it takes a little while. Actually, it's pretty good. All right, rock and roll, man. Finished reading the comic book series. Same with manga. Which one? Of Full Metal Panic? Just finished the manga. It's never redeemed. He's always scum. Really? Because he was when we last saw our guy, he was doing a lot better. I thought he was. Like he was learning his lesson and learning that he's he's an emotional guy that needs love and not just power or whatever. Like I thought he was doing a lot better. Maybe it goes sideways again. But at the end of the anime that I watched that season, I agreed nothing was resolved. He seemed like a lot better. Child groomer. He's a child himself. And he's not a rapist. He said no. No. That didn't happen either. Unless you're further ahead in the story, but that didn't happen in the anime. The anime, they make him have a ton of character growth. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he is gross and weird at the beginning. No, he's not 40 years old. He's not. And, no, I'm not going to defend this thing. Like a lot of people think he's gross. I think the whole point of it, and is there's a guy who was not a good guy. What if the guy who was isekai'd wasn't a good guy, right? What if he was a lazy, porn addicted louse who never did anything good with his life? What if that guy was isekai'd? What if he wasn't a diamond in the rough? What happened then? And they throw him into this reincarnation isekai where he has his predilections from the previous life in the no, that's what I'm saying. And so he has his predilections, and so he has to learn his way out. Like, I'm gonna be all that in a bag of chips, and he has a dad that like it helps the temper, and he ends up bumping into a strong female who is connected to him emotionally, and he realizes that women have brains, and we should probably talk to them like human beings, and that his purpose should be beyond having just using people or gaining power or whatever. That it matters, and the consequences of his actions matter, and the physical nature that he has when it comes to his relationship with women in the world and all the rest of that stuff. He learns. I think the whole point is that he grows as a person from the 40-year-old he was, from the gross person, into someone who has honor and has the ability to have human contact relationships and sacrifice, being self-sacrificial instead of selfish. Literally ends through him ending up with children. No. What do you? I don't know what you're talking. Like he ends up with people his own age. At the police. Oh. Refwig him. There he is. I didn't know he was going to be there. Oh wow. Yeah, I'm not gonna defend Mushu Tensei. Because it's, you know, like, yeah, I can totally see why people would find that weird and gross, and sure, I'm okay with you finding it weird and gross. Nope. I see, and that's where I disagree with you, Girk. The whole point is that he's a different person. He grows into a different person. He becomes a different person. You know, he has the new body and the new that's the whole point, is the redemption, in my opinion, is the redemption. So that then the implication, I don't know why I'm arguing this. The implication then is anybody who has a more mature mindset or has been through a lot more should only be able to have conversations with people that are or have relationships with people who have been through the same. That if you are an old soul, you should never date anybody your age, because that'd be wrong. You're manipulative because you are, you know, you've been through a lot, because you have experienced education. You're only allowed to date people who are equally as traumatized and intelligent, whatever. I don't know, man. And he's not. So I haven't got that far. He's not an adult at the end. I haven't got that far. I've only gotten to the point where he's the same age as everybody else. Yeah. All right. Let's pick a different topic. Good idea. Actually, it is time for a break now that we've completely derailed it and been weird and gross. Yeah, that wasn't fun. So I'm gonna go have a little snack, and then maybe I'll even grab a decaf coffee. I don't know. I have banana flavored coffee upstairs. Yeah, you heard me. Banana flavored coffee. I'm gonna go get some decaf though. I'm gonna add some sugar. That might make it worse. I don't know. It could maybe be more banana-ish. I really don't know. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go get some meat, and I'm gonna go get some grab a cup of coffee. Come back. We're gonna jump into the Minecraft server. And fake banana flavor. No, it's fake banana. Don't worry, it's xylitol. Damn it. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Xylitol. Yeah, by all means, play with the clock. I can leave it there. If you'd like. Actually, you know what I can do for fun? For funsies? I wonder if I can do it. I'm gonna do a pause. And I'm gonna go grab my stuff. I'm gonna leave the clock up. Okay? So give me a second. In the meantime, !web, !YouTube. Please follow me on those things. That'd be lovely. Trying to grow to 1,000 if you don't. And I think I'm contributing something to YouTube. People are starting to like the shorts. Like, they're averaging 1,000 plus. So that feels pretty good. You gonna run ads? Okay, rock and roll. I'll be right back. See you soon. All right. No, I'm still here. I'm grabbing the source.